Hey, this is Joe. This is my 2016 Ram 1500. It's a 3.6 Pentastar engine. I don't think that matters with what I'm dealing with in this video. Right now I have an ABS and a traction control light on, along with the display telling me I need to service my ABS system. Something to that effect anyways. Also, four-wheel drive doesn't work, cruise control doesn't work, and ABS doesn't work. So that's what it's telling me. Service electronic brake system. And you can see the two lights over here. Service analog brake system. And of course I got my sensors off. So that's what I'm dealing with. I got my little code tester out. This is what I got right now. Let me get this flash taken care of. Okay. Hopefully we can... So from the information I gather, the front and rear sensors are different. So front right and front left are interchangeable, rear right and rear left are interchangeable, but front and rear are not. So I'm dealing with a front right speed sensor issue of some sort. So I've already replaced that and I shot the video of it, and the video was just garbage, so I'm going to go ahead and show you what I did from beginning to end. FYI, replacing the speed sensor did not fix my problem. It seems to have fixed a lot of people's problems. So if you've already done the speed sensor, go ahead and skip that part. Alright, with the tire off, you can see where the speed sensor cable routes. So when you buy a new speed sensor, it's going to come with this cable. Oh, I guess I'll keep it on camera. And it will, if you follow it around, it'll wrap around and then back in behind the hub. You can see it routes in there. So that means we're going to take off the caliper, take off the rotor, and then we can access the actual speed sensor, take it out of there, and show you what's going on in there. So first off with the caliper, I have a 13/16. All right, here's a little better view. This is the back side of the caliper. We're going to take loose this big bolt and this big bolt, and then this whole thing will come off. These are big heavy bolts. They're going to be in there, so I'd recommend a breaker bar. Got those two big bolts out. Now a lot of times you can just wedge a screwdriver in here and get it in the fins of your rotor and then pop this thing off. If I use two hands, this would usually wiggle off for me pretty easy. And we'll set it up here, I don't know, tie it up with a bungee cord or something. Now with the caliper out of the way, we can get the rotor off. Mine are pretty new, so they just slide right off, no big deal. But if you have not changed the rotors or messed with it in a while, you might have to bang on it a little bit to break it loose. I'm sure there's 100 brake videos out there you could watch somebody do some kind of trick to get it off of there. So now you can see exactly where the speed sensor is. I'll try and keep this in frame. So you follow that cable, comes right in here and just plugs in there. So inside here in the hub, I guess you call it, there's a little reluctor wheel where it's just got teeth that spin, and this thing is really, I think it's just like a magnet, and it sees the teeth go by, so it can count the teeth going by, and I don't know, they do a bunch of science, and it knows how fast you're going and whether everything's working right or not. So I'm going to take this off real quick and show you inside there. I'm using a 3/16 Allen head, I guess you call it. Shit, I don't know. I think this bolt is actually metric, so something probably fits a little better, but this works just fine. It fits pretty good. Alright, I got that little guy out of there. Now I just did this last week, so this is pretty much brand new. You're going to want to be careful. I cleaned real good around here before I put it in, just because I have a pretty dirty truck. But you don't want any debris falling inside that hole. That will definitely, affect how this thing reads the reluctor wheel teeth shit. I'm going to be real careful pulling it out. Alright, so you can see all kinds of grease on there. When you get the new speed sensor, it'll come with a little pouch of grease. Go ahead and liberally spread that on there like you see. I'm going to try and get this to hang so it doesn't get dirty. Damn it. Let's see, I need to turn that. Okay, so I'm going to try and show you inside here. Inside this hole, you can see those teeth. So, as your wheel is spinning, those teeth are spinning, and then this little magnet reads those teeth and does things for you. So, while I was trying to diagnose this, I went ahead and turned this around a few times very slowly and checked out each one of them teeth to make sure there wasn't any bullshit in there, really. Make sure the teeth were in good condition, not chipped away or anything. All the teeth in there are very nice. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on so I don't get it dirty. So once you have that installed, and also it'll come with a new little nut too with some blue Loctite on it. So you don't have to worry about keeping any of the old shit. So you'll rat it around here. It will also come with a new clip, so you can just pull this one out and stuff the new one back in, or you can just open it up down here, follow that sucker around. There will be another clip on the brake line, just mash that into it. Same thing up here, another clip. So finally this cable ends up here, and there will be a connector. Pull that out. Alright, so this is where, once I found out this speed sensor wasn't going to fix my problem, this is where I found my problem. At least one of my problems. I haven't fixed it yet, so it might only be one of the problems. Either way. So the end of the speed sensor here clips into a connector here, and you can see one of my wires was broken. So I just went ahead and yeeted that sucker off there and went to the dealership and got another one. But that is what it's going to look like, and there will be a couple wires coming up here. You can see those two green wires there. That's what was connected to that connector. So that is that. To get that off of there, you got to pull this red part up first. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it with one hand, but that red clip goes up, and then if you push in this, come on fucker, if you push in this black part, once that red is pulled up, that'll come off of there, but I can't do it with one hand. So this is now the connector I'm going to replace. I'll tell you what, I did put, before I found that broken wire, I put my meter on it. I unclipped that, put my meter inside these holes here, because the code actually says erratic signal on the front right. So I compared my signal from this side to the left side, and I don't know if I did it right. I just did kind of what I thought was right. I put it on DC, checked voltage. This one was all over the place. It was jumping around. The other side was like 11.8, damn near 12 volts. So I just kind of figured, I just wanted to compare them and see what I was getting into. But either way, this was erratic from the beginning. I tried the speed sensor anyways, it didn't work. So hopefully this broken wire is going to be my problem solver. Alright, so here's what I got from the dealership. I'm surprised they actually had it. I did go to I think AutoZone, O'Reilly, and some other place, you know, all the aftermarket shit places. They couldn't even look this part up. So I was iffy on going to the dealership if they were even going to have it. I tried, they happened to have it. My next option was going to a junkyard and clipping one off another truck. Anyways, I think this thing was damn near $50, which kind of fucking hurts, but it's worth having cruise control and and four-wheel drive back. So I did get the clip, or the harness itself, but the pins are not actually in it, so I'm gonna have to install those. Luckily they did give the little rubber seal there to keep it waterproof. You can see right there. I was a little bit worried about that, whether if I found something aftermarket, if it was gonna have those or not. So I suppose I'm gonna open this up and see what I can do about getting it together. Alright, so I'm looking at the orientation of these pins going into this connector, and you can see inside the old one there's a fat part of that pin that goes on the top side if you're holding it like this. So when I look at the new pins, you can see that little fat part needs to be on top. Alright, I just got that first one pushed in there. It went in smooth like butter, and it actually clips into place. On the back side you can see that little, I don't know, rubber seal went right into place too. Piece of cake. Alright, I'll show you me putting the second one in here so you can see how it's oriented. Fat part up, turn that sideways, make sure fat part, if it'll focus, it ain't gonna focus. Fat part is up. Just stick her right in the hole there. You could actually hear it click, and that rubber piece falls right into place. You don't even really have to do a whole lot with it. So alright, that part's done. Alright, also if you look closely at these wires coming out of there, one green wire has a white stripe, one has like a, hell, I don't know, in some places it looks black, but here it looks kind of purpley, whatever. But I'm gonna go ahead and make sure these match that, because there's no line on these new wires of any sort. So the darker one is closer to the top, so I'm gonna go ahead and take a marker and mark this top wire, just so when I splice it into the wires on the truck, I don't get them mixed up. I'm not sure if it'll make a difference, but I don't want to chance it. Alright, so with this connector, it actually comes with a splice pack. I just got these couple little metal guys in here. I don't know why I won't focus worth a shit today, but it comes with these little metal guys. I don't know, I think it's for a soldering application. I don't have a solder gun, and I prefer to crimp instead of solder anyways, so I've got a crimp-on connector I'm going to go ahead and use. It does come with heat shrink in the package too, so the heat shrink will fit right over that just perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and strip these back, get them crimped together, and see if this actually works. Alright, I've got my wire marked. I got them stripped. One thing quick, don't forget, put your heat shrink on first before you crimp or solder, whatever you choose, because once you make that connection, heat shrink isn't going to go on. So underneath here you can see these two little wires dangling. That's what I'm working with, so hopefully I'm able to get up in there with the tools I need. This could be a bitch. Another thing you might do quick, this is the old one, but I've got the new one attached to the speed sensor just to make sure it actually does fit and clip on. The new one, you'll have to push this little white deal down first and it'll fit a little better, but I am connected 100% there, so I know that's gonna work. So now I'm gonna go ahead and make this connection. Now that I got those crimped on there, that was kind of a bitch just because there wasn't a whole lot of wire hanging out there, so trying to hold this thing up out of the way and get the crimper in there at the same time kind of sucked. But go ahead and once you're done crimping or soldering or whatever, give it a tug on both sides of that splice and make sure nothing's gonna let go. So before I heat shrink it, I'm gonna start this thing up, and I don't know, see if the lights went off. That'd be awesome. I did go ahead and tighten that screw down. I don't have a torque spec for you. This thing, I think, is plastic, so I just went, you know, pretty tight. Use your best judgment. Well, I just started it up, and I'll be damned if those lights are not gone. I have not started my truck and seen those lights off in months. Well, now that I know that's gonna work, one more thing off that old connector. There's this little tab that, well, if it'll let go, it slides in there and clips on, and then that's what actually pushes into this hole to hold that connector up. So the new one does not come with this, so you'll want to take that off and put it on the new one you got there, so you can suspend it up in the air. So I'm gonna put that on real quick, and then heat shrink these fuckers, and then yeah, we'll see. Maybe we'll tie the rest of that wire up there so it doesn't get burned up. I don't know. Alright, I slid that little guy in there. I'm gonna go ahead and push these wires up here and get that thing snapped in. Oh, fuck up there. Maybe. Jesus Christ. Okay, now that I've bent the shit out of this thing, hopefully I can get it back into place. Well, whatever. Okay, so I think I'm going to heat shrink from the top side. Since I got so much wire, it'll be a lot easier and I won't be burning up this plastic. So I'm going to go ahead and put this shit back together. We'll start with the rotor. With the rotor back on, caliper is next. I usually have pretty good luck with just sliding it back on. There is a little bit of resistance. If there's too much resistance for you, you'll have to find a way to compress that brake a little bit so you get a little more space in there to slide it on. Whether it's channel locks, a C-clamp or something, just protect your brake pad with something so you don't mar it up with whatever you use. I just slid this sucker on. It was actually really easy. So let me give you some perspective. That big top bolt go right in top there. I don't really want to let this thing go, but it'll go right in there. See if I can get it while I'm filming, holding this sucker with my knee. Alright, something like that. And then replace the bottom one. They are 130 foot-pounds. So while you're up on the jack, there is just enough room to get a torque wrench in there. Again, 130 foot-pounds. I recommend some blue Loctite. I just got done doing this, so I still had some residual shit left on there. So now that we got that on there, we're ready for a tire. Tires back on, lugs, 130 foot-pounds as well. Back here on the top side of the truck, I got the heat gun ready. You can see the wires I got right there. Obviously I'll pull them off those hoses before I blast them with heat, but I'll shrink them suckers up real nice. And then I got some of that there tape there, since I unwrapped a bunch of wires everywhere trying to figure this out. So from there, the wires wrap around the front of the engine here and then over into this mess, and I had to untape that to just see where they were routed. Obviously they go down there to the ABS module, and then up here to that connector right there. So I was just trying to trace these wires exactly where they went, see where they were broken, see where my erratic signal was coming from. Lo and behold, it was right where I started, which kind of sucks, but whatever. So I'll get those heat shrink, tape everything back up, take this thing for a spin to make sure I'm legit. All right, well, we got that taped back up and that taped back up. Over here, we got the heat shrink all done on those two beauties. So I'm gonna wrap those those wires up and out of the way of everything, put some tape on them, and call it a day. Well, trying to get both my hands down there was damn near impossible, so I wound up taking this hose for the intake off. But if I can get a good view of it, got her all taped up. She's good to go. I started it again just to make sure the lights didn't come on. So far, so good. So I'm gonna drive this fucker around a couple weeks and we'll see what happens. Sorry I said a couple weeks. It's been the better part of a year. What I did fixed my truck. I have no more lights on the dash. ABS works, cruise control works, four-wheel drive works. So highly recommend putting a meter on it. Man, I did it from the beginning, but I thought it was farther down the line, when in fact it was just right there in the connector I was holding. But because it was behind that plastic piece, I didn't get a good look at it. So just, goddamn, inspect all your wires. I should have known better. You know, the wires I was holding are way more susceptible to damage. You know, that's where all the gravel and shit is fucking hitting it. Whatever, I learned a lesson. If anybody out there has more experience, God, give me some recommendations on how to solve problems faster. Help the next guy in line. You know, that's all I'm trying to do. Man, I appreciate the views. I appreciate the comments. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Peace.